when people go to see a movie. I hope that when they go to see a movie, they walk in, they enjoy it, of course, and then when they walk out of the theater, they love the person next to them a little more than what they felt about them when they walked in. That when they walk out of the theater, maybe they feel a little bit more hopeful about what this world can be than when they walked in. This is a story about compassion. It's about the power of compassion, the power of empathy, and hopefully a little bit of that will soak up, just a little bit in people, and then we'll have been, done what we need to do.
So we've talked about what makes a good Superman movie, we've talked about the villain that would be most ideal, and we've talked about the cast. But what about the story? Now I think Superman Legacy should follow the story model of the hero's journey. Now for those who don't know, the hero's journey in writing terms is a story structure that follows a hero going on an adventure, coming back as a changed person. Now since this movie is focusing on Clark trying to balance his human and Kryptonian heritage, I think that should be the overall goal for this movie. We can see Clark over the course of this movie making a difference in Metropolis, stopping major crimes, and helping the minorities in this world. We can also see him meet Lex Luthor for the first time, or we can go down the Smallville route and have Clark and Lex already be very good friends. However, we also need to follow a 3-act structure for this movie. Act 1 should introduce us to this version of Clark and set up his conflicts for the movie, as we see him balancing his life at the Daily Planet along with his life as Superman at the end of the first part of the story. Could see Brainiac's introduction. Act 2 can see Clark journey to the Fortress of Solitude, where we see Jor-El explain who Brainiac is, that he originally was created as a supercomputer until he decided to leave Krypton to learn about and catalogue the wider universe, and that's how Krypton was destroyed, that Brainiac had returned to the planet and catalogued its brightest city, Kandor. And then Act 3 will be the big finale, as we see Superman defeat Brainiac in a bid to protect his home. In the final battle, which will cause a lot of property damage, this is after all a superhero movie, but after all that, we see Clark defeat Brainiac, telling him that Earth is protected, and if he ever returns then he'll see to it that he never makes a plan to come back. So, Phase 2 is going to open with a sequel to Superman, which I'll be calling Superman, Son of Krypton, and sees General Zod return from the Phantom Zone and plans to exact revenge on the son of the man who imprisoned him. This will dive deeper into Krypton's history outside of what we would see in my version of Legacy. Now, Clark will defeat Zod but will lose his dad in the fight, with Jonathan Kent dying of a heart attack, which leads Clark to believe he can't save everyone. So, moving back to Superman and the final part of his trilogy, this movie will finally see Lex Luthor become a villain. Now, I want to establish that Lex has been in the shadows planning to get rid of Superman for his own nefarious agendas, and so hatches a plan. Using some teleportation tech he was able to reverse engineer from the watchtower being decommissioned, he lures Superman into a trap, sending the Man of Steel to Warworld, where he faces off against Mongol. Clark is able to fight off the gladiators and manages to return to Earth several months later, and discovers that Luthor has become the President of the United States. Through some investigative journalism, Lois is able to expose Luthor's criminal activities, and he is immediately removed from office. In the aftermath, Lex dons his power armor and tries to kill Superman in one final act of revenge, which fails and ends with Lex being sent to prison on Stryker's Island. Clark and Lois then get married at the end of the film, with a hint towards Lois in fact being pregnant with baby Jonathan, aka Superboy.